Tough act to follow with Boss Man yesterday. He was spitting fire, right?
Well, speaking of Boston, when did Kyle tell you that Brock Purdy was the best quarterback you guys had?
I don't know. I was there when he told Jed that. My jaw hit the floor. He had told me that, but I didn't think that. Kyle often runs things by me to see if they're crazy. If they're Kyle and I had been talking. I mean, we liked Brock early. But it was in a really limited fashion that we had seen him. So I think we had a hunch that we had a chance to have something special. And Kyle is about as direct as person. He's really easy to work with because there's no gray area. And so Jed told the story, but I think where I'm at right now, we've got a huge challenge in front of us. So looking back and all that, that's fun. But the great thing is, I guess Kyle was fairly prophetic that day because he's turned into a pretty special player for us, and we're really pleased about that.
So do you talk to Brock at all about what to expect in the Super Bowl? Like, he's played in playoff games now, but having played in the Super Bowl yourself, do you feel the need to?
I have one-off conversations with people as they come. I kind of let them dictate. I don't, unless I feel like someone needs it, I don't proactively go up to those guys. I'm around the team a lot. I'm around, unfortunately, I was only able to play in one. I think a guy like Keena Turner, who's played in 15 or whatever, there's a lot of experience and a wealth of experience. And I think there's some things that come in handy. Most of those things are handling the entirety of what comes with the Super Bowl and taking care of business. And I think we try to have a plan such that we attack that as a team. Taking care of a lot of the business part of it, the business part, I'm talking tickets and all that, such that they can focus on the game. We did that early in the week. I think our guys in a really good mindset. We have enough experience of the guys that were here in 19. They probably are the best, purveyors of information to these guys of like, hey, here's what we did well, here's what I would do different, and that goes a long way.
The playoff comebacks, the last two games, does that give you guys?
Gives me a lot of gray. That's what it gives me.
I'll say, how's you playing still? So.
Yeah, but it does show, I think, the character of this team, the grit of this team, the resilience of this team. I guess I'd say it's been fun. The results been fun. It's been different. I think we're typically a start fast team, and I think we'll have to be that this week. And but I guess the nice thing is we know that we can do it. So if you fall behind, and I'm proud of our guys, the ultimate goal is at the end of the game to have more points than the other team, and they've done a tremendous job of doing that. But we do want to start faster and play better from the beginning.
John, the last few years, you guys haven't shied away from what the goal is here, is to break through and win this thing. For lack of a better term, you've kind of grown up with this nucleus of guys. How important is it to get over the hump and win it for you with this group that you've kind of grown up?
You got to pay it off. I mean, I've been on both sides. And there is something. People say that they can't ever take that away from you when you have that bond of having won one together. And talked to a lot of my former teammates this week of the guys, and that's real. And nobody really remembers who lost in the Super Bowl. So if you want to be remembered, if you want to be excellent, if you have the drive to reach the pinnacle of your profession, here's your opportunity. So what a great opportunity, and especially against a team that is kind of staking their claim as one of the dynasties. They've got an opportunity to do that. We faced them before. We have the ultimate respect for the organization, top to bottom. From the Hunt family, my counterpart Brett Beach, Andy Reid, played against them when I was playing a lot of battles. When I was in Tampa, he was in Philly. Got so much respect for Andy, Spags, their players. It's a great organization, so a great challenge, but a great opportunity to go down in the history books. And so that's why you pour everything into it. Not just now. This group's been pouring their energy into it for a long time.
John, Trent, are you familiar with Trent Williams' locker situation?
His block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever, yes, a two-part question, have you ever seen anything quite like that? And then, what does it say, I guess, just about the respect he might come in? I mean, no one seems to begrudge him. It doesn't seem to be like a Barry Bonds thing.
Trent doesn't throw his weight around. He's not saying, hey, Jay Bird, nobody sits next to me. I think kind of over time, he's like the guy who tells the person next door, if you ever decide to sell, I'd be interested. And next thing you know, he's got that, he's got a shoe rack, he's got now, I mean, I thought it was a great ad when he roped it off, you know, with the official deal. Trent's a favorite of these guys because he is one of the guys, but he's a different human being, and he's a different player. I've told you guys before, I don't like talking about Hall of Fame type stuff with players. He's a guy I'm not shy about doing that because he'll be there and he should be there first ballot. And nothing would help to cement that than a win in this game.
Jed mentioned that you and he sort of teamed up to convince Kyle Shanahan that the trade for Christian McCaffrey wasn't too expensive. Do you remember that day?
I mean, that thing was a long process. I do remember at the end, you know, and it was, you know, Kyle's usually a pretty pedal to the metal, and you know, she actually was the one guy showing some constraint, you know, when it was kind of everybody else pedal to the metal because we saw it within striking distance, and there were a lot of motivations. And Kyle, I think, was just trying to be smart and gather, hey, are we sure? And, you know, ultimately we were able to pull it off. I think it's paid great dividends, and yeah, fond memories. Jed remembers a lot of stuff, and it does jog my memory.
Fred and Nick both talked yesterday about playing a full 60 minutes, and that's really what they learned from the last Super Bowl.
Mhm.
How do you feel like this team is better equipped to do that, and what they learned from that?
Well, Trace, no greater illustration than our last two games of doing that, playing till the end, and you know, playing 60 minutes also means starting fast and starting hot. Now, I would give great, you know, credit to our opponents the last 2 weeks. They came out, had great game plans, got after us. It took us a little while to find our footing. We need to have our footing from the beginning, and we need to come out on point. But yes, yeah, absolutely, especially against a guy like Patrick Mahomes. I think he embodies that. I mean, just look at every play with him. The play is never dead. He can play in rhythm. He can extend. You think you have him tackled, and then next thing you know, he's spun out, and he's a fantastic player. He's fun to watch. But you know, the approach against him is very much the approach you have to have against their team. You know, I think a lot of really painful memories, things that keep you up at night, things that drive you and fuel you about that last experience in 19 when, you know, 6 and change and we're up 10, you know, and you remember those things. And so absolutely. And the best way to do that is attack everything we do, you know, with us starting fast, being on the details, play every play, and finish everything we do.
John, you're a former safety, and you watch a lot of film. How is it possible that at least 3 or 4 times a game, Travis Kelce is completely uncovered? Nobody around him.
I think because it's really a thing of beauty to watch, the imagination that he has in his game. And you know, I've had some things with players. Derek Brooks and I kind of had a thing where it was nonverbal, and I could look at him. Champ Bailey and I later did. When you have that connection with the player, and it's really hard to describe, and coaches try to capture it because they want to put rules to everything, and you can't always explain it. You can just always say, I know what Derek's thinking. He gave me that nod. Well, what's that nod? I can't even explain what that nod, but same thing with Champ. So I think when you see those guys, they do it to the highest level. I mean, when you're going by Jerry Rice's records, that speaks volumes, because Jerry, and he's written every record in playoffs, and Kelce, the bigger the moment, but I think it's those two together. And I think you give Andy a lot of credit for giving them the freedom. A lot of coaches would say, hey, you've got to play within our system, you got to run the route called, and you can tell a lot of times he's just making it up, but it works out really well.
John, yesterday, Fred Warner and Kyle both talked about a concern about the lack of effort on the defense. Do you sense that there's an awareness about that going forward this year?
Yeah, effort's a non-negotiable. I mean, that's one of our core values, and you know, I believe that in my heart of hearts. It's something, you know, we've got 4 Hall of Famers that represent the defense I played in Tampa, and if you ask every one of us that played on that defense, what was our calling card, it starts with effort, and that being a non-negotiable. So those things have been addressed. We got one game. I really would be shocked if we saw that again. And sometimes that comes, I mean, there's excuses for it. But they're just that, they're excuses, and that has to be non-negotiable. Play your heart out, and then we've got a lot of good players, a lot of good depth that you can get. So those aren't plays that we're proud of. Those players are proud of. It's been addressed, and I'd be real surprised if I saw it.
Non Super Bowl question, but have you thought about how you're gonna restructure, whether you even need to restructure your front office with Adam going to?
I've thought about it a lot, Matt, and I'm really excited. I mean, we've got the plan in place. I want to give the due to these guys playing in this game. We've got a really good plan. I can tell you this, it's gonna come internally. Not to say that later on there might not be an ad. We're always, looking, but we got great candidates. I think we do a great job. And it started before I got here. I think we have such great scouts because our scouting assistant program is so good, led by Ethan Waugh. When I first got here, Adam, took great pride in the development. We all take great pride. Tariq Ahmad, very instrumental in that. We really do a nice job of training these guys such that there's a pipeline always, and I think it's only right that when you have capable people, you stay within, because that speaks to what we preach, that hey, if you work your tail off and produce good work, there's going to be opportunities.
John, on that same note, Kyle he's lost a ton of coaches, and it seems like one of his greatest strengths is being able to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Why has he been so effective at finding coaches to fit into the scheme?
Combination of a lot of things. He's a wealth of knowledge. I think he coaches his coaches extremely well. He's extremely demanding. He's really good at delegating a lot of different people, a lot of different jobs. He gives a lot of one-on-one time with various people in the order. He tasks each and every one with, hey, this is your job, own it and own it well. And a lot of that includes those guys presenting things so that he can go take it to the team, but there's always communication going on. So I think when you have someone who's knowledgeable, who's demanding on his expectations, they know what they better come prepared or they'll get sent out. and part of my job is to go pick them up after they get humbled. And so a lot of that goes on, but they know at the end of the day that he loves them and he's only trying to make them better. And so he's fantastic at it. And it's a special skill that I'm sure he's learned from a lot of people, but namely, I think there's from Mike.
Can you confirm that Clint is probably going to head to the Saints after the game?
Yeah, I can't confirm that. It's kind of a dead period on that stuff. So there's rumors out there and stuff. So he's a fantastic football coach.
John, Fred and Nick both kind of said yesterday they were young and maybe a little naive, thinking that they got to the Super Bowl so young in their career. For you, how hard has this climb been to get back to at least to this point? Like, what's been the most difficult time through this period?
Yeah, I mean, some of the hardest days I can ever remember are the day after, whether it be last year or the previous couple. Those are hard because you've put so much into a goal. And when you fall short with what you believe to be a special group of people, that's really difficult. And, but the thing we say every year is it's how are you going to respond to it? And there's so many pieces to that. And so, fortunately, we've got a lot of players, a lot of coaches with a ton of pride, with a ton of character. And I think we've got an organization that very much knows who they are. And, I think it starts with truly believing in your core and every fiber of your body that's what we're here for, to win championships. And that's what this organization is about. It's what the faithful, our fans demand. It's what our former players, believe me, the hardest thing is looking at the guys, the Ronnie Lotts, the Steve Youngs, the Joe Montanas when we haven't done that, because those guys have had our backs and we want to have theirs. And so they know we're fighting, but you got to pay that off. And we've got that opportunity this week. We understand the challenge at hand and how difficult it is, but if you want to be great, that's what you got to do. You got to bust through.
When we hear about these Saturday Bosa speeches,
Mm-hmm.
people look forward to them. They talk about them later. I'm sure you've heard some of them. What do they mean for the team? And to come from him, who isn't, an outspoken guy.
Yeah. Well, I hear every one of them. You don't miss those because they're special. They really are. The kid has. He doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it's very prophetic. And he almost like I played for Tony Dungy, and Tony had a skill of just nailing down what was critical for that given week. But he would do it like on Wednesday. They give Nick all the way till Saturday, and Nick, if you want to see, the Steph Sanchez who does that deal. It's pretty close. That's what it sounds like. She's even got the breath. She's got the eye. It is uncanny how similar that is. But I think it's the substance of what he says, and his teammates really look forward. We all do, because it gives us a little direction. And Kyle does a great job, but then, you know, it's Bosa time, and Bosa gets up there and he doesn't ever not deliver on Saturdays, and it's must see viewing, and it's really become an important part of who we are. There's a great pressure on him, you know, and it's interesting to find that Nick is like, he's a really well-read guy. He reads a lot of books that, you know, talk about a lot of different things. He pulls from that. He pulls from his gut. He pulls from his experiences, and it's pretty special what he provides for us.
John, in the NFC Championship, two of your more veteran players playing at your position at safety, I thought came through in the big-time pinch, and Tashawn and then Logan playing a position that we hadn't seen him play here yet.
Yeah.
Just from your perspective, how big of a pinch hit appearance was that? And when you did bring Logan in, did you see him contributing across multiple positions the way that he has?
So, you know, starting with Gip, Tashawn, you know, I remember vividly scrimmaging against the Vikings, and we had run into some injuries, and we were at the Vikings facility, and he came in, and he had a really good workout. And we had some coaches that had been with him. I had long admired his play, and but never did I think he'd give us what he has given us. And you know, I've stopped looking for him to kind of hit the decline, because he's not. He's playing a really integral role, just like he did versus Detroit with the strip fumble. He has a knack for making big time plays. I think it was against Green Bay. I think of a bubble screen, and there were just two people over, and he makes a shoestring tackle, or Christian Watson, I believe, is gone. I mean, he does things like that on a day in, day out basis. We ask him to cover receivers a lot, which is a difficult thing for safeties, and he does that, you know, to the highest of levels. I got so much respect for Gip. He does it quietly. He doesn't get a lot of acclaim for his play, but man, he deserves it. Logan Ryan, you know, we started talking with him. We started a conversation. You know, we had some things going on. You knew he was a versatile guy who had played nickel early in his career and really played safety at a high level. That's a hard transition. A lot of people say, well, that he should move over to safety. I think it's harder done than said, and Logan made a really nice transition. Played really well when we played Tampa, and so that left an impression on us, and we were having some injuries, and talked to Logan, and Logan, I think, you know, I talked to him numerous times, but when we really became a thing, he was on a Disney cruise with his family, and you know, but had, you know, kind of chronicled his plan. He's got, you know, he's got a huge house with like a 50-yard football field. He did 2-a-days, and he got ready, and he's delivered for us as well, playing safety. I know a lot of people were critical about a game, but we're very appreciative, you know, how much he's picked us up, playing safety against the Pack, playing nickel in our last game, and he obviously is a guy who knows how to win. He's been here before and delivered and won with the Patriots, so it's great to have him.
John, how would you
Take
describe
two more.
Mooney Ward's personality to someone who's never met him?
Oh,
and
man.
also his jump this year?
I love that guy. Mooney's just such an interesting, like, there's an innocence about him, and I tell him all the time, like, walk around like you're special, because you're a special player. And I love it, because nobody calls me John Lynch, and he calls me John Lynch. Hey, John Lynch. And I love it. And he just started doing that this year. But I said, keep doing that, because ever since you're playing, you've even gone to a higher level. Mooney's a special guy. A guy that our scouts did a great job identifying in free agency. We all became really impassioned as to what he could become. We felt like he was already a good player, and he had a lot of room for growth. I just think his size, his length, his smarts, he's a really smart football player, and his competitiveness makes him a really good football player, and he's playing at a really high level. Not only is he in a Super Bowl, he's doing it against his former team. Somebody told me earlier, I think 6 years, 6 championship games for him, so it's pretty special.
When you drafted Jake Moody, I'm sure you thought that this scenario was possible, him kicking in a Super Bowl. What are your thoughts about a rookie going into this big game now after having seen
a lot of
him last
confidence in Jake. I mean, Jake is, I think a lot of people want to talk about, you know, some challenges that he's had, but I like to look at how he responds to those, and he's very steady. He really is, and we feel very convicted. We felt very convicted then. You know, you go take a third round on a kicker. We did have 3 picks, and something we needed, and so, you know, we had a lot of confidence in Jake. We still have a lot of confidence because we see him day in and day out. I think he's ready for the moment, and really proud of the season he's had.
When you
There's
say
been a-
Mooney has a lot of innocence to him, can you just expand on what you mean by that?
He's just a sweet kid. He really is. We don't talk a lot about that in football, but he's an easy guy to like. He's enjoying being a father as much as anyone I've seen. Really, really proud of his daughter. We just have a lot of cool conversations, and fantastic football player, but a really good human being that has earned everybody's respect in this organization.
There's
Jim,
been a
last
learning,
one.
there's been a learning curve for Steve Wilkes after he became the defensive coordinator here. Where do you feel like he's at now in his play calling?
Steve's done great for us. You know, Steve's just got this, we've talked about it from the beginning, he's got this commanding presence. I think the move down to the field because of that was a good one. I think the ability to adjust within a game is, I feel strongly it's easier when you have a guy down. Now, sometimes you listen to the coach and they feel more comfortable, you give them that. And those are Kyle's calls, and, you know, we saw fit to make that change, and I think it's been a good one. And so, you know, we're very grateful to what Steve's given to us, and you know, excited to have him going into this last game. It's we are where we're at, and we're there for, you know, there's a lot of reasons for it. He's one of them.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.